I don't want to pay somebody an hourly salary, whatever, and then have to babysit them. People don't focus on generating revenue first and fast. 99% of your time in the beginning should be generating revenue. Shocking thing to most people is when you understand how important it is to raise your prices.
What would you say is the reason that you guys have grown so fast?
Number one, you have to not manage time. You have to create time. You ask the client outcome questions, like what's the outcome that they want? Most people don't have the clarity. Secondly, they have clarity, but they don't do enough doing this.
What piece of advice do you think would be the most life-changing piece of advice they could hear?
You can't operate unless you have a clear vision that you're committing to. It changed my life.
Well, dude, first of all, you're a legend. Thank you for coming on. And the more that I've researched you and the more that I've seen everything you're building, I was like, dude, I got to get Mike on the show. Shout out David Darnell for connecting us. Like, David's an absolute stud. And dude, you're doing so much and you're doing a lot of cool things. First, I'd love to talk about, man, just the awesome company you've built with that one agency. You're placing CEOs at the top 1% of podcasts. You're just killing that. And then I also want to talk about the communities you're building and everything you're doing. So before we jump into all the amazing thing you're building, tell me about that one agency. What do you guys do? And then I want to work backwards and I just want to learn about your story.
Yeah. So in the journey that I've been on over 1,200 podcasts as a guest in the last 5 years. And I built an amazing network from doing that. Every host I would connect with and do I call it a 15 mini, little networking call, find out what they're working on, where they're going with it, and just see which ways I can help calls and create a future for them, which is, by the way, the most attractive thing you can do for people in networking is calls and create a future for people. In doing that, I'd find myself years ago, high level people were asking me to get them booked on the podcast that I was going on. And I was like, sure, I'm making connections. And I started to realize, wait a minute, this is a business because these folks have a problem that needs to be solved. They don't have access to what we've built. And I started really appreciating the asset that we had developed, which is the network of top shows that trusted us. And so that one agency was formed. And over the last 5 years, we've become the #1 podcast booking firm for high-level people in North America.
Wow.
Getting them booked on top podcasts.
Dude, 5 years? That's crazy growth. Yeah. Do you ever just stop and think just like, what happened? Like you blink and like, you're like, wait, what's going on? Do you ever just have those moments you're like, man, we have just built this machine. Like, when did this happen? No, I probably should do that more often. I think a lot of people don't take time to see how far they've come, and I'm always looking to the next thing and to the future. I don't think I have yet. I don't think that I feel like we're just getting started all the time, I pretend every day I wake up in the morning that nobody's ever heard of us. That's great. That's a great mindset for young entrepreneurs to have that right there. What were you doing before this, man?
Yeah, I spent 20 years in the mortgage real estate business and ended up building a large organization from Philadelphia to Miami. Had branches up and down the coast. And we were, lending, I was a part of a conglomerate that was lending $4 to $7 billion a year, depending on the rates. And I did that for 20 years. But at some point when I hit 40, I started to realize that I felt trapped because the money was good. And I never thought I'd say this before I started hitting certain income levels, but I'd just come home miserable, like not happy with what I was doing and not fulfilled, and felt like that I was designed to play a bigger game. And I decided to do something and garner up enough courage to make a move and started winding that down. And in doing that, went on a self-discovery journey, really find out who I am, what I'm here for, hanging around some of the top mentors in the world and becoming friends with them and letting them speak into me and absorbing it all. And, I think eventually I had no idea what I was going to do next, but I just started podcasting for exposure and connections and to build network. And I was told by one of my mentors and said, look, if you get on podcasts consistently and you start really developing the relationships, you'll create an attraction model. And that attraction model will make everything easier for you going forward. It'll pull the right people and the right opportunities into you. And just as important, repel the wrong ones. And I said, I just committed to that. So that's why I started doing 7 to 10 podcast guest appearances a week. I did that for 5 years. And it changed my life. You know, it led me some of the biggest stages, live stages, being invited into masterminds that, you know, cost $30, $40, $50,000 a year. And people didn't charge me just because they wanted me there. It's pretty, yeah. When you look at it, it's pretty amazing what's happened. But again, I don't know how far I can take this thing. And so I want to find out. So I'm on a journey to see how far this thing can go. And yeah.
What's a lesson that you've learned recently in the past year or so that you wish you would have already known when you started the business 5 years ago?
I would think that the faster you confront something that needs to be confronted, the faster you get out of what it's causing, you know, the problem it's causing. The longer you wait, the longer it takes to dig out of the hole it creates.
Are you talking people?
People?
Mainly?
No, whatever you need to face, whether it's people, relationships, conflict, finances, systems, process, policy, procedure, anything that goes on. If there's a present time problem, that the longer you take to confront it, the longer it takes to dig out of the hole it's causing. And so many of us in life, not just entrepreneurship, but in relationships, we delay the confrontation. We don't want to face it. We you know, it might be a tough conversation,
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's uncomfortable. We don't like it.
Yeah, and we're causing ourselves more heartache, stress by delaying.
What do you think it has been about your model that has helped you guys take off so fast? So is it just you going on podcasts and that's just how you developed your network? Or like, what would you say has been the reason that you guys have grown so fast in the past half decade?
Couple things. Number one, I think most company founders haven't done the thing they're helping other people do. Coaches, consultants, advisory firms, whatever it is, service-based business agencies. We've done it. Like my team booked me on all these podcasts ahead of time. And so when we went to start a business with it, we just scaled the team out, systems and processes that we already had. And then also the massive amounts of reach out and contact and phone calls that I have. You know, I do 5 to 8 15-minute phone calls a day, Monday through Friday. I've done it since 2020, thousands of those. The amount of effort and just pure like force pushed out into the universe. Most people aren't capable in their minds and they're not willing to do the work it takes. And I just made it a part of my life and it's like no big deal now. It's like kind of like going to the gym, you know, doing burpees, pull-ups, lifting weights, running, whatever it is, Stairmaster. When you haven't made it a part of your life and you're just going to, I need to go to the gym, I need to get a workout in, whatever, and you haven't committed and just made it a part of your life, it's hard and it's spotty and less consistent. When you make it a part of your life, like I just make part of my life, reach outs, calls, connections, going to events and networking. I just made it a part of who I am, my identity, changes everything. And so now it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but somebody from the outside looking in would think, wow, I can't believe this massive amount of, energy and work that you're putting out.
Yeah, those 15-minute, I mean, that's how we met, is on a 15-minute call. Where did that idea come from? Like, and also like not even just the idea, but the pure volume that you are doing 15-minute quick intro calls. Like, where did that kind of concept come from?
Well, I was in tech and I was doing a lot of reach outs to raise capital and also bring new users on a platform that we had created. And I was just setting these calls up and meeting people and then introducing them to this tech ecosystem that I had, that I was a part of. And it just started from there. And one of the partners I had in that was a guy that raised capital for years and built tech before. And that's what he would do. He didn't call them 15 minis like I do. But the concept of the 15 mini and then how you structure that call to get everything in 15 minutes and be efficient with it is finding out what people are working on right now that's got them excited, what their attention's on, where they're taking it, what the vision is. That structure was created and shared with me by my friend Jared. And I just used it into this. And then the other part of it is, you know, a lot of problems in people's businesses and you know, in founders, entrepreneurs is fear. Right? That's why they don't confront things on time, or that's why they stay in a relationship or customer transaction situation, whatever, relationship too long when they shouldn't, and they don't fire customers. They take on the wrong customers. The reason is fear. And fear stems from, these things stem from what I found is lack of something. You don't have enough of something, right? So in my mind, I can beat out every competitor that I would ever have I can overcome any adversity or setback by sheer volume. And so I just think in my mind, I got to keep the pipeline of people and new relationships filled, like packed. I don't want any gaps in it. I want it overflowing. I want to have to find a new pipe because the pipe is so full. And so that's where that idea came from. And then I just every week I look 2 weeks out and make sure the calendar's filled 2 weeks out. If it's not, I start to like flip out. Like I got to fill this thing up. And that seems like it's solves things. Now, as you build a company, you have to understand that you can't scale the company by yourself. So you have to start creating systems and process so that other people can be trained on it and replicate what you're doing. And we're in the process of the agency now where we're adding people, adding team members to replicate what I've already done and scale it out. So that's where it all came from.
If you had someone start someone like me, a company's been around for 6 months, 5 months, we've been growing like crazy. But I also have like strategy work to do. I have actual like client work to do. How have you been able to balance, especially back in your early years? Think like year 1 and 2 of like, there's work you have to do for the client, but then you also have to scale and be the sales and the face. Like, how are you able to find that balance? What advice would you be able to give there?
A couple things. Number one, you have to not manage time. You have to create time. How can I create time? I don't want, we sleep for 7-8 hours and then whatever's left, you got to spend with, you want to spend with family and spouse, partner, whatever. You want to have time to yourself, work out, take care of yourself, hobbies. But instead of managing your time, you have to learn how to create time. So number one, I live off my calendar. Number two, I create systems and process in order to set up calls so that I don't have to be on a call, DM or message text. Hey, does this time work for you? Does this time work for you? No, it's a link. It has my availability. And I just send the link to people. Little things like that. But the other thing is not just living off the calendar, but understanding, okay, what am I doing on a daily basis, weekly basis that number one, I shouldn't be doing and I should eliminate totally. That doesn't even need to be done. I'm wasting time. What are the things that I can share and get to someone else to do? Things I don't like doing, I'm not good at, or low leverage items. Buy time from people to get those things done, right? Leverage their time and expertise. And so when you think about that, when you do that, when you get one person that can work 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day, that's time added to that day. So let's say you're sleeping for 8 hours. So you have 16 hours left. That 16 hours is all you have to do all the things you need to do. Well, if you buy 8 hours from someone, right, that 8 hours gets added to the 16. Now you have 24 hours. You add another person. Now you have 32 hours. You add another person. Now you have 40 hours in a day, right? So people don't think this way a lot of times. So I think, how can I buy time? How can I add time to the day? Doesn't have to be you doing it, right? So I take that information and I just, from the beginning, I started buying time from people. So I wasn't doing everything. I'm not going to do fulfillment. That's just not what I'm going to do. Now, most founders think that they have to do everything from the start, right? Even if they think that they can eventually get someone else to do it. I don't think that way. How can I start a company and get somebody else to do it as fast as possible? And that is what we've done from the beginning. And I have Todd, my partner, Kim's our ops manager. We started with the 3 of us. So immediately I had 3 people instead of me, just by myself. So that 16 went to 32 hours working time to do things in a day, right? And then we added team as we went along. And before you know it, now we probably have, say, 15 times 8, whatever 15 times 8 is, 150 minus 16. 134 hours a day. Now, how much can you get it done in 134 hours a day compared to 8? Right. Nobody can compete with that.
Yeah. That'd be like a founder working for a full month, versus just one day of working hours, for sure. And then you obviously have to learn to scale, and you have to learn how to, when do you hire people? When do you bring on? You get lines of credit so you can afford, that's obviously part of the growth. But what you're saying is, if you're a founder, you're an entrepreneur, find what you're good at. Find what is the highest leverage for your business, and then don't waste your time on the other things that you should be equipping people that maybe their special ability is on things like operations or, process procedures.
Here's the other thing. Most people don't focus on generating revenue first and fast, and 95 to 99% of your time in the beginning should be generating revenue, right? The revenue comes in. I don't need a line of credit. Some businesses you may, but if I can sell packages and generate revenue, I can then use that to reinvest in the company and buy time from people. And so from the beginning, I just started selling. I started promoting and selling as fast as possible. Promoting and selling. Then it generated revenue. And then you 50 to 100,000 comes in. Then you have capital to now utilize to buy time from people, build systems, process, tech stacks, whatever you need. And that's what we did, and I did have to use some of my own money in the beginning because I wanted to grow faster than just selling would do. But at the end of the day, you don't need other people's money necessarily if you know how to promote and sell.
And I mean, that's the lifeblood of any company is selling. But obviously when you're new and you create a product from scratch, like how did you find your offer? Like how did you kind of nail down what you wanted to charge, what you wanted to do, like what the package was, like reoccurring versus one time? Like how did you kind of find that perfect offer, and how many iterations of offers did it take until you got to the one that you really liked?
I think we're on our 4th or 5th iteration of our packages now. So and that's over the last 5 years, right? So, but initially you just start with something, you just make something up, and it's way too low most of the time. I would say 100% of the time, it's way too low.
Yeah.
We undervalue what we're offering. We undervalue ourselves. We don't see the worth. Mm-hmm. And you just start somewhere and just get $1 from someone. Just get your first $1, get your first 10, 100, 1,000, whatever it is. Get your first. And then once you get your first, it builds confidence. And then you can throw something else out there. And the shocking thing to most people is when you understand how important it is to raise your prices, and someone you feel like, man, like you're going to exclude so many people, but yet people will buy and they'll buy it. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, why didn't I do this in the beginning? And so, when I think about that going back in my start, I think about like what I was thinking, and I was just like undervaluing myself and my team. Mm. And so it's hard to build a company and scale it, reinvest in it if you don't have enough capital. The other thing we did was I was doing these small packages and we had to resell them every month. And I'm like, this is a waste of time. How can we not resell every month? How can we extend the life of our clients' first purchase, save time, save energy and time, attention, and what I call pulling money forward, right? Like if I sell a bigger package, I'm going to pull money forward. It's not going to be fulfilled right away, but the money is going to be pulled in so that we can utilize that money while we're fulfilling over the next few months. And so I just observed other people that mentors of mine, and watched how they did it, and it sunk in, and I started utilizing it in our own company, and it works. And then once you have, we have 3 packages right now from 7, 12, and 20K. And instead of just offering these 3 packages and letting the client figure it out, what they should do, you ask the client outcome questions. Like, what's the outcome that they want? And if you figure out what the outcome is, what their goal and vision is, then you guide them into the package that's going to meet that outcome. Because if you don't do that, they're going to be confused. They're going to have 3 options in front of them. They haven't really gotten clear on what they want. You didn't work through that with them. And then they stall in their decision or don't make a decision at all. So if you want somebody to make a decision, find out what their outcome is, figure out a way to cause and create a future for them, and guide them in that direction. So the majority of the time, we're guiding our people into the package that would meet their outcome, not for our benefit, because I don't care if somebody comes on at the low package or whatever. Once they come on, they see it works, they stick with us. So I just want to get them in the door, but I want to get them in the door that's going to
something that will match their expectations. Exactly. Something that will actually show. And I think there's a book called Offers. Alex Hormozi wrote it. It's one of the best books I've ever written. I don't know if you've read it yet. And he has something called the value equation. And it's basically like define their dream outcome multiplied by their perceived likelihood that they can achieve it. So if it's like, hey, I want to make $1 million through hopping on podcasts this year. That's their dream outcome. Define it. And then you can then say, is this likely? Like, can we do this or can we not do this? And then define that for them. And then then it's like, how long will it take for me to get to my dream outcome? And what effort and sacrifice will it take for me to get my dream outcome? And if you can solve for all of those things, you have value. And people will pay a lot of money for that value.
For sure.
And so that one equation changed our business. And we've grown tripled our clients in January since reading that book, because like I had to define all of those things. Hey, in our calls, like, what's your dream outcome? So this morning we had a session. It was like, hey, like if you start a podcast, you launch a company podcast, 12 months from now, what is success look like for you? Let's define that. And then you work backwards. And us doing that has been just instrumental to us growing.
Yes. Here's something we ran into. So you get that question, what's your dream outcome? And they tell you something that they want, which is a vehicle to get to where they want to go. And that's not the answer to the question. What is the outcome you want? And they'll say, well, I want to be on Rogan, right? Well, being on Rogan, what is that going to get you, right? Most people aren't going to be on Rogan. Let's face it. Okay. And a lot of people have high expectations, like they should be on there. Most of the people aren't going to do that. However, the outcome that would get you is millions of listeners, right? Okay. So you want millions of listeners. What if I tell you that that's not the best way to go about it, getting on Rogan, which is least likely to happen? Let's look at the thing that's most likely to happen, which is to get on 50 top podcasts over the next 6 months to a year. And those top podcasts add up to more than just a Rogan appearance. And you're more likely to get on those shows than get on Rogan, right? So you got to be careful when you're asking the question from people, because a lot of them will give you the vehicle that they think will get them to the outcome, but they're not giving you the outcome. Find out the outcome. What do you want to accomplish from that vehicle, getting in that vehicle? And then you can shape it from there. But yeah, we run into that sometimes where people aren't clear on what they want.
Same. Yeah, our answer back is, I want more exposure. I want to start a podcast. I want to get views. And that's actually not the case. They actually want revenue. They want more sales. That's actually what they want. And they think more views is going to get them more sales. And so a lot of times what we teach is like, actually, it's not so much about the views, it's about the person, it's about the guests, it's about the experience. Like that's going to get you your revenue that you really want. Like I just had a reel on Instagram, give me 2.9 million views is what this reel got me. And I got 0 leads from it. Because like views don't always indicate revenue. And so we run into that all the time where people are like, dude, I want to grow up, I want to blow up, I want to be Joe Rogan. But actually all they want is more revenue for their company. And so we run into that same thing. And that's where, but asking that question allows you to get to that point. Like I know when I first started, dude, I created my product like November of last year. I finally had an offer that I liked. And I was just telling people why they should podcast, right? And I wasn't asking where they're at. And that switch was everything for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you ran into that too. Like,
I think there's people out there that want to get known and it's an ego thing. And it's not for like revenue. They want revenue, but they don't doesn't register in their mind. They want to get ego, celebrity, validation, attention, but not like understanding what's going to come from that. What do they want from that? Why do they want that? Right. So, I before was like seeking that when I was first starting out in the journey, like building my brand and everything. I just wanted validation. I was ready to rock. I wanted people to know who I was and tell me that I belonged and what all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm more concerned now with how can I generate value for people and get results for people, which is going to turn into revenue for our company. And then that will, when I go out there and get known, right, and speak on stages and what have you, I feel more confident inside. Subconsciously, I'm better off and I'm going to perform better and impact more from stage.
Yeah. When you feel confident that your offer is good and you're helping your clients, dude, it's like, it's the best feeling in the world, because then you're not like, I'm overcharging them, or a lot of times you feel like I'm undercharging them for the amount of value because they're winning as a result of them paying me. And that's just the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Think about this. Early on when we were starting a company, I would have never had a WhatsApp group with over 600 members in it. Right. Because I didn't know what we were doing at the time. We were trying to figure it out, trying to create all the systems, process, make sure we're providing great customer service. And when I realized that we had it and it clicked and I'm like, okay, we got it now. That's when I started this WhatsApp group. It was only about just over a year ago. And we have 600 people in it. They're not all our clients, right? We have 200 active clients right now. We've helped over 400 clients now. We have over 200 active. I would never be able to have a WhatsApp group with 600 some people, including our clients in it, if I didn't feel confident in what we provide now. Right. But early on, there's a time for everything. And you got to understand, you don't want to do things too early. Create a community around something before you have things figured out, because it'll drown you.
And there's a lot of imposter syndrome that happens early too. Like I'm charging too much, or am I actually doing this well? And there's so many doubts and concerns that, like, if you do build too early and you do try to scale, you try to get on stage too early before you're ready, that could be detrimental. Like, if you can't even handle the demand, like, one of my mentors tells me all the time, like, a lot of companies actually die from too much demand than too little, because they're not ready to scale. They say yes to everybody, and then everyone's like, this is a crappy company, when it's actually not. They just weren't ready.
Yeah, they might be new, what have you. Yeah, of course. And I've early on, we had to refund money because we couldn't fulfill what we promised people. And I didn't hesitate to do that. Now we don't have that situation, but like early on, and it sucks, and it feels like, you're not good enough and all this, but you got to understand that no matter where you were in your past, you were doing the best you could based on what you knew and what you had access to. And you have to go through these experiences to learn and refine yourself. There's not a successful person out there that hasn't been through that. And when you understand that, you give yourself grace and you take away some of the stress and heartache that you do not need to be adding that holds you back early on.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like, it's easy to get down on yourself when you have those moments, or the refunds, the people that aren't happy, but like, you have to have the mindset that, like, what am I going to learn from this? How am I going to grow from this? Because it could crush you. Like, those are the things, dude, when maybe you land a big client and then they're not satisfied, they request a refund, and you're like, dude, that's like all my money in my bank account. Like, that could crush somebody. But I think the only mindset that you need to have is like, okay, what did we learn? Like, what do we need to do different? How do we improve? Otherwise, dude, it could crush you out of the game.
Oh, for sure. Careful. Yeah, for sure. And, early on, you're looking at how much runway you have. What if I don't have a sale this week or next week or whatever? Like, how can we survive? That's also important. Like, when I set up my business, I set it up to be performance-based so that a lot of the expenses only come out when we have sales. Most people don't do that. They'll set up salaries or hourlies or whatever. And I set up our company that way, performance-based on the individual's performance and the company's performance, because a couple things. Number one, it helps with cash flow. Number two, I don't want to pay somebody an hourly salary, whatever, and then have to babysit them and then make sure they're accomplishing everything that they possibly could accomplish. People will not perform up to a salary or hourly. And human beings just don't do that. And so they will perform better if it's performance-based. And if you get somebody that looks and wants to come work with you and they're not willing to do the performance-based, you should look somewhere else.
Yeah, they just won't fit the culture. Yeah, they're just not the right fit. How do you like performance-based operations? Because sales, it makes sense to me on like, hey, you sell, you bring people in, but like operations is a little bit tougher. How to performance-base that? Like, that's just, they have to do the work.
Yeah, well, I have a couple members, just like two, I think, that get a base, but then they get bonuses off of the company's production, right, and performance. But the other thing is our fulfillment. Like, I only pay our fulfillment team as they book.
Yeah,
a certain number per bookings, and it is what it is. They can make as much money or as little money as they want.
That's smart. Yeah, I was going to ask you this earlier. Where'd the name C-Roc come from, by the way?
My last name is Ciorrocco. It's a long Italian last name. And in college, I played college football. My friends started calling me C-Roc. And it just stuck with me. When I got into the business world, it just stuck with me. When I started building my brand, it stuck with me. And I remember standing up in front of a group. We were talking about, it was a workshop on speaking from stage. And we were to stand up and introduce ourselves. And I stood up and said, hey, my name is Mike Ciorrocco. My friends call me C-Roc. And this is what I do, whatever. And I told a story. But the feedback that I got from the group and then the people that were running the workshop, was a high level workshop. I think it cost like 10 grand. They said to me, as soon as you said my friends call me C-Roc, you had us. And then once I had that, like, it was on, and I rolled with it.
That's smart. And you didn't work with like a branding person. That was just kind of like, it just kind of happened. You're like, hey, I'm just going to kind of take this. Because even in my head, I told my team, hey, we have a podcast with C-Roc today. Like I don't think anybody even knows your name's Mike on my team. Like, everyone just knew that I was podcasting with C-Roc, because like, it works. And I think it's a unique thing. You mentioned speaking on stages, and I want to ask you this, like, that's something personally I would like to do more. And I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs would love to get on stages and get in front of all their leads. Like, how did you build that confidence, and then B, that network to even get you that first invite and then like grow from there? Like, how did you start being able to show up and speak on stages and get in those rooms?
Well, first of all, the confidence comes from reps, right? I've done over 1,000 episodes of my own show, 1,200 guest appearances plus, so 2,000 plus podcasts. So if you're doing something every single day, it becomes old hat to you. Now if somebody called me right now and said, hey, we have 15,000 people, the speaker canceled and we needed you to speak on culture building. All right, let's go. Where do I show up? What time do you need me? Right? That's how it is now. But it's the reps, because I remember early on, I would have been sweating. I'd been like, I need some preparation time. What do you want me to speak on? I got to do some study and research and whatever. I don't need to do that now. But early on, I felt that feeling. So the reps is what got me out of that. And so then the other thing was the network. There's a thing in business and branding. It's all about perception, manufacturing celebrity, manufacturing perception. So one way to do that is to get a lot of outflow, right? Of reach outs, podcast guesting, get your socials to look good, get some articles written about yourself, manufacture celebrity. Okay. And when you do that, and then the other thing is proximity, get around people that already have some leverage, some kind of exposure. And what happens is a perception is created and people will see a bigger version of you than you actually feel yourself at the time or may even be. And so you just go into that and operate under those circumstances at first until you start building your confidence. And so I remember being on places that I didn't belong yet, or at least I didn't feel like I belonged yet. I remember people thinking of me to a higher standard or stature, I should say, than I knew that I was at myself. The other part of it is identity. Like, you got to create an identity that you want to be in the world. Right. And which you know, even if you're not there yet, create the identity. What does this person that I'm thinking of think about all the time? What does this person speak like? And what do they say? What does this person do? What are their actions and behaviors? And finally, who are these people hanging around and where do they hang out? Like that identity. Where does that person hang out and who do they hang around? And you start clearly identifying those things and then you just start doing it. Most people don't have the clarity. Secondly, they have clarity, but they don't do enough doingness. Like, there's a doingness to things. You got to figure out this identity and then you got to start acting and doing. And that's that outflow that I do. And then what that leads to is you get the things that person, that identity gets.
Yeah, dude. Like, I think every entrepreneur is almost sometimes like favorite thing is the planning stage. It's like, all right, I'm going to go to these workshops. I'm going to listen to these. I'm going to read these books. I'm going to listen to these podcasts. And then when it comes to actually like do it, that's the hardest part, but it's also the part that has to happen. And I think it's an excellent point. Like, I think most entrepreneurs struggle with the doing. It's really fun, especially visionaries. I don't know if you're familiar with EOS, like visionary integrator. Like, visionaries are really fun. We love planning. We love thinking. And then it's like, oh crap, I actually have to do something now. Like, and that just,
but
that's not easy to always do.
That might be initially in the beginning phases of something. And I think that's a cop out. Because
sure. It's a terrible mindset. It's awful. Yeah,
what you start in, you might be a better visionary, you might be a better operations person or doer, what have you. You might be a better executioner. However, that's where you're starting. That's a starting point of your natural tendencies. But from there, if I'm a visionary, the only way that I can become a better doer is to do. Right? So then you start doing. And then when you start doing enough, now you're a visionary. Now you're also a doer. What's the other thing? Planner? Or what's the other thing?
Integrators. What
integrator. Okay. And then I'm not a good integrator naturally, but like I want to be like the full package. All right. Start integrating. Because let me tell you something. The people that are visionaries that never do and never integrate, and then they go out and find somebody to do those things, those two things will run their life and business, make them miserable, cause them stress because they don't know how to hold those integrators and doers or executioners. They don't know how to hold them accountable. So that ends up running them. So to me, I never sit in my natural disposition. I want to create the ultimate package, right? And how do I do that? I do these things. I start learning about them and I do those things, even though it's not a permanent thing that I'm going to stay in. It's like a founder. When you're founding your company, you're a solopreneur and you're just starting to do all the stuff. You don't do all the stuff thinking I'm going to do it permanently. No, you do all the stuff so you get to know it enough so that you can train and create a model for someone else to mimic.
Or even sell it. Like, it's hard to sell something that you don't really even know how it works. And it's like what you said earlier with the gym analogy. It's like anything. Like you need to go work out those muscles. And like for me, I'm more strong on my upper body than my lower body. Leg day sucks. So if I never do leg day, I will never get stronger legs. And so like it's the same thing with entrepreneurship, like you're saying. Just because my natural disposition is not operations at all. I suck at operations. If you ask me to sell and you ask me to kiss babies, slap butts, whatever that whole thing is, I'll do that all day. But you ask me to operate something, I'm like gone. But I've had to learn, for the sake of me understanding what our company does, how we can improve, holding my integrator accountable to us growing. But if I didn't even know kind of like what we did once we signed a client, I couldn't be a good leader. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at. You really can't be a good leader unless you really understand your business. And that's the full scope of your business. So even when you delegate, you're not delegating understanding, you're just delegating the work. And I think it's kind of what you're hinting at. You still have to understand and be willing to do that so you can coach it better.
100%, you know. The former CEO of 7-Eleven and Blockbuster, James Keys, was on my show, and we had a conversation of where he started. And he started in other parts of the company. He wasn't just the CEO all of a sudden. He started in other areas of the company so that he knew when he was moving up the ladder. He actually told me one time that he would take a step back in the company to learn different departments.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Sounds like, I mean, and that's the way it should be done. I wanted to ask this because I know you have a hard stop at 2, and I want to be very cognizant of your time because I have about 20 minutes left, and I don't want to run up because I want to give you a break in between. I have a lot of young entrepreneurs that listen to this show. A lot of people that are thinking about starting business. They, maybe they're going into trades, or maybe they're doing services, whatever. If you could think of a piece of advice that you've received from a mentor now that you could give to a college student, high school student, someone getting into entrepreneurship for the first time, like what piece of advice do you think would be the most life-changing piece of advice they could hear?
Well, it's always clarity. Like you can't operate unless you have a clear vision that you're committing to. So what do you actually want? Now, this doesn't have to be set in stone. The commitment has to be set in stone, but you can evolve the vision. But you need clarity. Most people don't know what they want. So if you don't have clarity, you don't have any way to direct your attention. And your attention is directed by your intention. Or if your intention isn't clear and you're not committed to it, it will be directed one way or the other, but it'll be directed by someone else's intention. And that could be people around you, social media, the news, the economy, whatever it is. Everybody is vying for your attention. And it is up to you to determine who gets to direct your attention. And what you pay attention to, by the way, we only have so many attention units to spend at any moment. What you pay attention to creates the universe you live in. Right? And your universe is created by what you pay attention to, the perceptions you have. Like, you're sitting in the room you're sitting in right now, and based on what you pay attention to shapes your perception of that room. There's some places that I go where my attention is directed towards things that reminded me of something from the past. And for example, when I was in college, I partied a lot. And then it got to the point where it was dark. Okay. A lot of my friends went home. They went on their way businesses. I was hanging around the wrong crowd. Eventually I got out of that. But when I go back to that place, that environment, my attention focused, not anymore, but it focused from when I was going through a phase of this, I focused on the things that reminded me of those dark times. I perceived that environment, which is a beautiful place. I perceived that environment as dark when I was there. But it was only because of my perception, what I was paying attention to. When you start to shift what you're paying attention to based on your intentions, it changes everything.
That's great advice. One more question, dude, as we wrap up. What do you love about working in the podcast space? And what do you love about this whole ecosystem of media that has made it to where you wanted to just build your whole brand and your company in this space?
Well, when I started getting some notoriety, I spoke on a lot of stages. I would go to events where I wasn't speaking and people would recognize me. They'd come up and want to take selfies with me. My family was looking at me like, why do you want to take selfies with him? It was crazy. And I was like, this is wild how this works. But that exposure started to get into my ego, and I started to realize this is in alignment with what I want. And I also want to impact the world in a big, giant way. And I know that if I can figure out a way to not have to be an expert in all different areas from health and wellness, biohacking, longevity, finances, investing, relationships, all these different things, spirituality. If I can get around the experts in these areas, one, I'll learn and become better in those areas. But two, I don't have to be an expert in these areas to impact the world through those missions that those people have. If I can help them in some way get exposure and move further faster. So I started to realize this, and this excites me. I don't necessarily care about my brand anymore as much. I care about the people around me. How can I elevate them? Because when I do that, it's exponential impact.
Yeah. Why do you think podcasts have blown up so far? Like what is it about a podcast that you think is just so intriguing? Like it's replaced the radio, right? Like it's like, what do you think is there something about getting two people in a room to talk that people have just loved? Like, what do you think it is about that?
Well, I mean, I think people want to express themselves, right?
Yeah.
And reality TV was very popular when it came out because it was not scripted. Now, we know now that some of it is scripted, but it's not like a show where it's smooth flow.
Read your
scripted,
lines.
Right?
Right.
So it's real people doing real things, and authenticity shines through. Podcasting authenticity shines through, and you can find out if somebody's real or not. Like somebody listening to this show, they cannot deny the things I've been through based on the stories that I just shared. I didn't mean to say shit. The stories that I just shared. They can't deny it because it's factual. The stuff, it's undeniable. So if you listen to somebody in long form long enough, you can find out if they're the real deal or not. Their authenticity will shine through or be missing.
Eventually their true colors are going to show.
Yeah, of course.
Like eventually. Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. I think authenticity, people have always wanted to know what it's like to be in that room, and now people can. Like I remember when like Elon first went on Rogan, because this is back way before Elon got into politics. This is back when like Elon was like the cool nerd on the block, right? And like it was like, dude, we get to listen to like Joe ask Elon about weed. And you're right, like, I never would have ever thought I would hear them order an anchovy pizza live on a podcast.
Yeah,
and we get to experience that.
You get to be a fly on the wall in a conversation somebody's having. It's not like it's sitting in front of a live audience.
In a room that you would never be able to be there otherwise. Or if it was an event, probably a ticket you couldn't afford. And like it just removes so many walls. That's why I love podcasting. And for me as a host, being able to meet amazing people, like as a host of a show, I've been able to, like I tell my wife all the time, like I have numbers of people in my phone that I just shouldn't know. Like I have an insurance background from Detroit, sold Aflac for 8 years. Like I should not know these people, but the podcast just shrinks the world of people so much. And it's so cool. Even meeting you and then David and all these amazing people in your community, I'm like, it's all through a podcast. It's how this thing started. And so it's crazy, dude. And I love it. I give all my guests an opportunity to kind of promo like what they have going on, what they're passionate about. As we wrap up the show, like, A, where can people find you? And B, like, what makes you, what gets you going right now? What gets you excited? What you guys got going on? And where can we find you?
Yeah. So best way to find me is Instagram or LinkedIn, but Instagram is my favorite platform. Mikey C-Roc, Mikey, Mikey, and then CROC. You can see what we have going on there. You can DM me. Love to connect. And if anybody wants to get on top podcasts, get massive exposure, increase their trajectory, you could just reach out to me there and we'll show you how we do it. The thing that lights me up right now, man, is really besides business is like my daughter is playing travel softball right now. And I just love coaching her and guiding her, mentoring her through this process. She has big goals and aspirations to play in college and go to California. We're in Maryland. She wants to go to California, to school in California and play softball and just setting those goals out and then chipping away at it with her. It's so fun. And my wife is doing amazing in real estate. She's an amazing mom and wife. And I just love being there to support her, have her support. And then my son, 19, he wants to go into acting, television, TV, and watching his journey that he's taking right now. And then also learning the business world. It's just fun to watch them go through this and be there to support them and cheer them on.
Yeah, and hopefully growing your company to the spot where you can even enjoy those things with less stress because you have a team, and that's my goal. Like I'm blessed. My kids are only 3 and 1, and I'm like, Lord, would you just allow me to build a company to where when they are 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 16, and they're playing sports that I'll be able to do that. And that's kind of the dream of entrepreneurship, right? Is to be able to build a machine that can run so you can go do those things, coach your daughters and whatever.
Well, and I'll tell you this, I will not. So a lot of people don't understand they have the power to cause and create the life that they want. right? And it doesn't have to take a long time. I will sacrifice income to be at my kids' stuff because that doesn't come back and it goes fast. Like, trust me when I tell you, 19, 13-year-old kids, been married 23 years, it goes fast. Like, it's overnight. So I would never sacrifice those times. I'll sacrifice income. I'll sacrifice going to events and this and that. It's just the way it is. I created this. However, it doesn't have to be a situation where you sacrifice. That's a limiting belief. You can actually have everything you want. You just got to build it.
And I think mentors are just so helpful in that, finding the right people. Like you said, identify the people that have what you want and hang around them. Figure out a way how to get in those rooms, because like that for me has been the most life-changing thing, is hanging around people that are just way ahead of me.
Well, let me add to this then. So we do this. So that one network is a WhatsApp group of 600 plus people. We throw 4 events per year called Quantum Expansion, and we give access to non-members of the Quantum Expansion Club as well. And we're going to Vegas here coming up in May, and people in the network, like, to me, they don't know what they're missing. If they don't come to this event or come to some of our events and hang out with the people that have done something. I mean, we have guys in there that have done billions in sales. We have people that have like changed the trajectory of the health landscape. We have experts in health and wellness and M&A and acquisitions, performance experts that have trained professional athletes. Like, it's ridiculous. And for somebody not to come and invest in themselves to be around that, I've done it. I've spent close to $500,000 in being around the right rooms and right people.
And how can people find information on Quantum Expansion? And
just DM me on Instagram. And DM me on Instagram, Mikey C-Roc, MIKUI-CROC, and I'll get you everything you need.
Well, dude, this has been, an hour goes fast. It's like, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, dang, you have a hard stop. And I feel like we keep talking. And, I'm in the, and I'll tell the people listening, I'm in the WhatsApp group. It's a great community. It's very active. People are chatting, helping each other out. And, dude, you're a stud. And thank you for doing this. And, everyone, please follow C-Roc on Instagram. You're going to want to join the WhatsApp if you're a business owner. And I would just encourage you, if you do join the community, join with the mindset to give and connect and learn, not just in a mindset of just, what can I get from this? Join in a way that you're like, hey, like, I want to take part in a growing, active community, and I want to learn and meet people and see who I can connect them with. And that's just the best way you're going to find success in networking in general. So, brother, dude, you're amazing, and I wish you the best. And I'm excited for our partnership and relationship, because I know I'm going to be able to send you people and vice versa. And I'm glad that, again, shout out David Darnell for connecting us. And, man, thank you for coming on this episode of The Dylan Link Show, bro. It's been a blast.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, see you guys in the next episode. Peace.